You guys both in the...
Yeah.
Hey guys, glad to have some time with Coach Nick McDevitt and kind of debriefing, decompressing after a terrific trip to Italy last week with your basketball team. And you know, since we've gotten back, I've had more people ask, well, what was your favorite thing? So, what was your favorite thing?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. The obvious is the experience and the travel to be able to provide that for the entire group. I mean, I've been to Europe several times, but that was my first time to Italy. And so to experience that and the culture and the food was great. But to be able, before that trip, to get those 10 additional practices in here and to come out of it healthy. I think it kind of checks all the boxes that you're looking for, is to have more court time before you go, to be able to provide the basketball experience, but also the outside of basketball experience that you get, and then to come home healthy. And we were able to do those three things. So in my book, it was a successful trip.
Yeah, and really you have the basketball side of things and the cultural and educational and social side of things. And I thought you're playing in gyms with no air conditioning against teams who you're really not sure what level of skill they have. And I thought your guys did a great job on the basketball side of things of sticking to what they've been doing and executing what they've been taught and not really worrying about what the other team is doing.
Yeah, I thought they did a really nice job, particularly in that first game where we got out to a pretty good lead early. I think it was 30-8 early on, and they decided to go zone pretty much for the rest of the game. And generally speaking, unless you're Syracuse under Boeheim, you're not working on a lot of zone in the summer. And so for our guys to be able to go out there and still stay organized, play the game the right way, and do it in the circumstances of, to your point, an opponent you don't know a lot about, a gym that was very hot, and having to run zone offense, threw a lot of curveballs at us. And I liked being able to kind of face that adversity. That's part of what you want to see, is how does your team and how do certain individuals handle adverse situations, and I thought they did a nice job.
Yeah, and you've got a good number of new guys, so having those extra practices could not have come at a better time. And I guess on the back end of it, how do you feel about your team where they are right now as opposed to practice number one leading into the trip to Italy?
Yeah, I really do like where we are in that regard. 6 new players, so it gave us a chance to see how they reacted against kind of the semi-live bullets. It wasn't a game that goes in the win or loss column, but it was at least against somebody other than ourselves. Our guys have been going at each other for the last 9 or 10 weeks in the summer, and so to get a chance to see how they reacted in that scenario was good. But also, we've got 3 or 4 guys who are going to be expected to have bigger roles on this year's team. And so to see those guys, whether it be in a starting role or a starter that isn't kind of the so-called 4th or 5th starter, but now in a primary role, it was good to see how all that went down, and ready to just get back to work now that we're back here in the States.
And you did all of that really without a couple of guys who are going to play major roles or expected to play major roles once the season gets here in November.
We were.
We did it with basically 3 starters.
That's right. And you think about Jalen Jordan, who's missed 2 seasons due to ACL injury. He probably could have played. I mean, he's a little over 9 months since his surgery. So he probably could have gone about 9.5, almost 10 months now. But given the what was at stake, we just didn't feel like it was worth it as a staff, nor did he really either. And so it just gives him another couple weeks, couple months here before the season gets going to keep getting healthier and stronger, because he is one of our captains, team leaders, vocal guy, can really shoot the basketball, and I just want him to be able to play on this floor when the season starts.
Exactly. One last basketball thing. I don't know that I could have been more proud of any moment of your guys than how they handled a clinic with about 30 teenage girls, teenage Italian girls, that neither one could speak the other's language.
That was one of those proud moments, as the basketball coach, but also just to your point, Chip, being able to sit there and see that you're with and surrounded by some really good young men. I thought they, obviously there's not a big crowd. It wasn't televised, so for them to just go at it half-hearted, nobody would have been the wiser, nor until you just said so, nobody here would have known the effort that they put into it. But I was really proud of how serious they took it, and there was about, to your point, about 20 or 30 young ladies there, 13, 14 years old, that was a part of a club team over there, and our task was to put them through an hour-long clinic and put them through some basketball drills. I thought those young ladies did a nice job, and I thought our players did a really good job of leading them. And it's funny, a lot of people say math can be the universal language. And in that scenario, the ball was the universal language. We couldn't speak Italian. Most of those Italian young ladies couldn't speak English, but they knew what right-handed layups and left-handed layups and a three-man weave, and they got the point and did a really nice job. It was a fun hour.
Yeah, it really was. And then speaking of attention to detail and paying attention, from the time your feet hit the ground, it was on as far as seeing things in Rome, Florence, Milan, and our side trips. But to see the things that they packed in that entire week, your guys were very attentive. A lot of questions to the tour guides, things like that. So they soaked in a week's worth, and I think they were prepared well going over there. That hey, here's what's going to be coming at you. But from the Colosseum to the Vatican to the Statue of David, and all of the side trips along with that, you did a lot in 8 days.
We did a lot in 8 days. We sure did. A 3-hour boat ride on Lake Como.
That's right.
Got to see really just how others around the world live, what their culture is like, how the money they use. You're using the euro. How easy travel is, or how different it is. You use the train a lot. Fairly inexpensive to fly. We didn't do flying once we got over there, but fairly inexpensive to pop from town to town or country to country once you're in Europe. I just think the more you can broaden someone else's horizons, give them opportunities they may not have otherwise had a chance to see and experience, it's all for the betterment. And I just thought our guys did a nice job of enjoying it, learning, and it was a great trip. From the simple things, just being somewhere on time and the bag showing up and learning and experiencing while you're there. It was well worth it and a great trip.
Athletes a lot of times are creatures of habit because of what we ask them to do all the time. But you're right, they just assimilated in and became world citizens, and
tried different things.
You and I were probably more uptight on things than they were. They just kind of let it flow off like water off a duck's back.
They really did, and everything was different.
Yeah.
Obviously you're 7 hours ahead of Central Time.
Yep.
So from the moment you get off the plane, your body feels a little bit different. You're going to eat some different food, travel a little bit different. It's a different language, different money. But I thought
different level of air conditioning.
Yes, not quite as much ice in your drink.
That's correct.
But it was great, and to see them really enjoy something like that. It's easy to enjoy some time at the water and at the beach and at an amusement park and enjoy those kind of things, but to really grasp where they were when you're in the Vatican and looking up at the Sistine Chapel, and you're in Florence and you see the David, it's 10,000 pounds and 17 feet tall, and to take the time to really soak in that moment. And I thought our players did a really nice job of really trying to take advantage of it.
Yep, they sure did. And now, and the work doesn't stop. It's going to be early November before you play a game, but the work will just continue now as school started.
The work will continue. School has started. The games are right around the corner. We're 10 weeks away from playing, and so it'll be here in a hurry. We've got a lot of home games this year. Our first true road game is December 19th. And so we'll get a chance to play a lot of home games in front of our fans. And our guys will get back to work here out on the floor, but I think we're obviously a little ahead of where we otherwise would have been without this trip, and that'll be our challenge, is kind of try to stay ahead of the curve, and I like where we are right now.
Well, grazie for your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chip.
All right, arrivederci.